But boom. Okay, let's see what we got. Let's see what we got. Let's see what we got. Let's say go live. All right, I believe we are now live. Let's jump over here and just make certain. Let's go home. Yeah. Okay, I think that's it. I think we're in there. I think that we are in there. What's up, everybody? We are gonna have a little bit of late night fun. M Dog is in the house. Hey, absolutely. Late, brethren. But it's happening. I mean, we are in the house, which is great, but so sorry we're coming so late. It is Whiskey Wednesday on this September 17th. Hope you all are well and enjoying this evening. It's a little cool here in Washington, D.C. A little cooler of a day, a couple days that we've had compared to early in the week and last week. So wherever you all are, I hope you all are doing great. But one of the things that we are excited for is the fall, because kind of as we get into the fall, as we get into the winter seasons, man, whiskey just tastes that much better. And so while we probably have temps outside that's maybe in the 60s, if not high 50s, then this whiskey should be tasting really nice right about now. So shout out. Mama Farrell is in the house. What's going on? Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for joining in. And Sean, man, welcome. Miss you back, bro. Hope all is well with you and yours. But yeah, Whiskey Wednesday. Folks, it's all about Tennessee. Showing Tennessee some love. Thanks to Zoe himself for inspiring this tasting, starting the lineup and finishing the lineup with some single barrel Jack Daniels products that flank either side. I gotta switch this tag around. This one has its own little dog tags up top. So it should be a good time, everybody. Do have M&T in the house, in the background, not the bank. But yeah, we're gonna have some fun. So I will be pouring a little bit off camera, so that just to give you all the heads up, so it's not looking too crazy. But yeah, we're gonna get right to it, everybody. First up to bat, we're gonna start with a Jack Daniels bottling, folks. I don't know. What do y'all think? Does it look better up on the barrel, or should I just slide the bottle forward? I think we'll put it on the barrel. But of course, depending on where my image ends up showing up, yeah, which is the opposite side, that looks pretty good. I think so. I think that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and see if we can get that banner rolling. Show that off. And y'all can hear me okay? Let me know. Let me know that y'all can hear me okay. So the first one up to bat is a Jack Daniel's single barrel heritage barrel, toasted barrel. A toasted heritage barrel, 100 proofer, folks. As you can see there on the ticker running below, I'm running, I guess, a blue banner down below. Do I like that? I think I might like black better, but I don't know. Since this bottle label is blue, it all fits. And I'm kind of going blue. Very soon, we'll be going blue. I mean, you see, when you think of chats, you'll be thinking more and more blue. You can tell by our logo up there that has some blue features there. So this is probably fitting. I mean, I'm wearing blue today. Toasted barrel, folks. 100 proof. Let's get into it. There's a glass right there for you to the M of M&T.
What?
Oh, I mean, acting surprised. That's what it is. All right, everybody. Oh. So we're starting off the show once again. Hey, shout out to Zoe. Thanks for this, bro. Let's see what we got. Wow, very perfumed. This is 100 proof, but what I got initially certainly was some perfumed like spirit note, sweet corn characteristics. Um, Maybe a little bit of the acetate style alcohol forward. That's what hit me initially. So we got not just regular water, but a little tonic water off to the side to help us out if we're having a little difficulty drinking this, as somebody off camera might be having right now. I'm getting a little bit of acetate. I don't know. But of course, we're talking about the Jack Daniels production. This is, one of the most known, probably the most known Tennessee whiskey production. Now, of course, it was Jack. There was George Dickel that said, hey, if we're going to kind of differentiate ourselves from the other bourbons that are being produced over in Kentucky, we have to do something a little bit differently, and we have to make that our Tennessee style. Well, before that, it was Nathan Green, aka Uncle Nearest, who did this charcoal filtration, sugar beet maple charcoal filtration of the distillate before it went into barrel. That was the foundation of what became the Tennessee whiskey style. Now, of course, all of these that we're going to be tasting is Tennessee whiskey, with the exception of the Chattanooga high malt, which is classified as a bourbon. And the reason for that is they don't filter the distillate before it goes into the barrel. So that one is a proper bourbon. But of course, all of these whiskeys have a high corn mash bill. So just like a bourbon, it's mostly corn. It is also aged in brand new American white oak barrels for its initial barrel aging. And at least one of these is maybe finished in a secondary barrel, or maybe not. Don't let me speak wrong on that. No, I think everything here is singular barrel, which is cool. So we don't really differentiate in too much kind of between the different productions here. But we're starting off at 100 proof, and we're going to be heading up. So cheers to the first sip of this Jack Daniels Heritage Barrel, 100 proof. After allowing it to breathe just a little bit, some of the acetate-like characteristics, the acetone, fingernail polish remover, it's kind of that particular aromatic in this alcohol that I always get. I'm a little sensitive to it because I got four daughters. When it's nail night, I get home and everyone's doing their nails, and I get a little sensitive to that. So it's blown off a little bit. But a little bit of cherry I get here. Cherry, a little vanilla, some sweet oak notes. A little bit of caramel. Some candy corn in there as well. But even maybe a little bit of a bit more heavier on the caramel than it is candy corn. But a little toasted corn note. All right, let's give it a sip. Mm-hmm. Wow. All right. Well, gosh, what I like about this, it's warm, it's full, the viscosity falls. The viscosity on that and the texture really carry some intensities. The alcohol is a little bit pitchy, but because of the texture, because of the heavier toast on the barrels for this, of course, you know, Jack Daniels always gets great extraction from their barrels, from their heritage barrels. That helps really carry flavor. Sweet enough and rich enough and open enough that it doesn't taste overly woody, which is nice. But it's those things where at 100 proof, this drinks with some intensity, not necessarily out of balance and only alcohol. I think the structure, the character of the barrel, the weight, the intensity of the flavors, all married pretty nicely. I'm digging it. Let's see, Mama Denise, what do you think, Bernie? If you had to fashion it, what would be your tweak on this? I don't know. I don't know. Let me think about that a little bit. This is one of those whiskeys where I think maybe adding a drop of water might open up a little bit more flavor. You could do this on the rocks. Like I say, at 100 proof, it does drink with some intensities. I don't mind those intensities right now. As you get into the winter time, I think they'll be absolutely perfect. What I do like is that the acetate, the acetone alcohol really has evaporated now, and you're getting into some nice, rich cherry notes. I like that quite a bit now. I don't know why there was such a play, though, on some of the volatile alcohol initially. I'm just going to pour myself just a little bit more, just because maybe the glass just needs to be seasoned. Let me see if I get that off of first sip again. Now, this bottling date was August 5th, 2025. So literally, this went into the bottle about a month and a half ago. Like literally exactly a month and a half ago. That's pretty cool. I still get it a little bit. Maybe I'm seeing a bit more of the spice of the rye that's in the mash bill for the second pour, but it's still showing maybe a little bit of that volatile acetone characteristic, which once again I'm not a big fan of. So gotta let this bad boy breathe a bit, so they'll release a little bit of that volatility. Overall, though, I like the whiskey that's underneath. This may just be a flaw to this particular bottle, and I do count that as a flaw. Where it comes from is maybe somewhere within the distillation process, or maybe within. Well, it's single barrel, so sometimes barrels will just kind of throw some off odor sometimes. But I will say it does blow off pretty quickly, which is nice. And underneath that, you get an amazing little whiskey. Mm. Overall, yeah, I think it's solid. Um, just due to the a bit of a flaw on the nose, it's probably going to just get knocked down a quarter point for that. Otherwise, I think the whiskey is really tasty. I'm going to give this one, gosh, I'm going to go a 7.75 for this. That quarter point, I think it could have been 8 had the slight volatility not been there. I mean, having just to wait a second for it to open up. Um, but I'm going to say 7.75. Could go 7.5 because that is a flaw that I'm really sensitive to. Some people aren't sensitive to it, but I'm really sensitive to it. But once it's gone, I think it could be as good as an 8. But I'll land at 7.75 for the Jack Daniel's single barrel, heritage barrel, toasted barrel. It's a lot of barrels I'm saying there. 100 proof Tennessee whiskey from the Jack Daniel's distillery. This was bottled so fresh. Gosh, just literally a month and a half ago. 8/5/2025 was the bottling date on that bad boy. Good stuff. Appreciate you, Chris, for bottling this up. This is barrel number 25-05096. Once again, folks, just to make it official, let's hide that real quick. Edit. I'm giving it 7.75 points. Hopefully I spelled that right. I can barely see. 7.75 points. Nice. Okay. So how'd you like that one? Very nice. Okay. Very nice. All right. Go ahead and give yourself a little glass rinse with your tonic, and we're gonna move right along to another 100 proofer. But this 100 proofer, this is, gosh, this was bottled a couple years ago at least now. And it is from the other very famous Tennessee whiskey producer, George Dickel. It's their bottle in bond production. The distilling season was 2008, and this was a 13-year-old bottling. So we're talking about a 2023 bottling for this George Dickel bottle in bond. 13 years old, folks. And this bottle has been open for a little while. You see that little corner that's left in there? So we're down to the corner. And so let's see if it still has anything going for it. So see if it's still holding on to any level of character that is going to be exciting for tonight's lineup against definitely a very newly bottled product and freshly opened as well. I'll shout out Zoe again. Thank you so much, Zoe, for dropping off that wonderful Jack Daniel's to start things off. And we're still staying with the blue theme, everybody. Once again, blue is going to come up very soon here in chats often. Once again, you can see our little logo up there with the blue, little orange, burnt orange, little gold action happening in there, kind of matching this bottle quite nicely, right? So George Dickel, bottle in bond, another Tennessee production. And once again, just like Jack Daniel's, this is a Tennessee whiskey. Very close to a bourbon, but of course the Tennessee whiskeys get filtered, get charcoal filtered for a mellowing process that they do in Tennessee whiskeys that they don't do in your traditional bourbon whiskeys. So shout out to another Tennessee original producer, George Dickel. Let's take a nose. This nose, even at 100 proof, give me something that I think is quite consistent across the George Dickel line. And that's a little bit of peanut brittle like characteristic. And I will say, no volatile alcohol at all in this. You get a little bit of the warmth of the spirit, but something that really carries the peanut brittle note. Kind of a fun little Mary Jane candy like note. But peanut. Everything is like, for me, kind of in that realm. Maybe a little bit of orange citrus candy, like the little gummy candy, maybe. The orange citrus, it might even have the sugar crystals on it. I forget what you call those kind of chewy candies. If Whiskier is in the house, he could let me know what that is. But a beautiful nose. Toasted oak characteristics are starting to come forward now. Really clean though otherwise. Let's give it a taste. Mm. Take me a while to finish that taste, isn't it, folks? But ooh, that's good. That's good. Still leans into the same flavor characteristics that that it did initially. And of course, this one has been one something that has probably been open, a whiskey that's been open for at least a year now, maybe even a year and a half since I opened this bottle. So there might be just a little bit lost, but I don't think there's been much loss. Just maybe a bit into the finish, where it leans out in the finish just a little bit faster than the original than it originally did when it was first opened. But we're talking about, of course, heavy corn, bit of rye, a little bit of malt barley, probably a similar mash bill to that of a Jack Daniels. Heavy corn, folks. Heavy corn. To really give you those sweeter notes. Um, mm, this was recognized as 13-year-old bottle and bond back in the day, was recognized as one of the whiskeys of the year. I believe it was Whiskey Advocate, or it wasn't San Francisco Chronicle. I think it was Whiskey Advocate that gave this the #1 whiskey of the year, maybe back in 2021, 2022, or what have you, when it was released, or the year after that. So it was highly sought after, and for the price point, of like around $50 or so, it was highly sought after. But 13-year-old Tennessee whiskey, solid stuff. I count it in the great values. I have to look to see if they're still as good. Try to find some of the bottled and bond Dickels again. It's been a little while. Mm. Hmm. On the palate, a little bit more honey. Yeah, a little bit more like wild honey notes. Um, some oak comes forward again. A little bit more baking spices, maybe into the finish. A little hint of cinnamon. Pretty clean though. Pretty clean. Your mouth starts to you start to salivate a little bit, and it becomes chewy, but very balanced, very clean, and there's a freshness there that's really nice. Maybe a little lower intensity compared to the Jack Daniels that we just tasted, but we could assume that that would be the case because, of course, this bottle has been open for a bit longer, and it's likely a little older than the Jack Daniels was that we had just before. Um, which I think probably Jack Daniels is maybe under 10 years, right? I would say potentially in the maybe 8-year range, give or take, right? All right. So the question is, where are we going with the points on this one? For the George Dickel Bottle and Bond, 13-year-old Tennessee whiskey. This was a 2008 distilled product that was bottled probably in 2021, 2022, something like that. I guess it would be 2020, no, 2020, 13 years, 2021, yeah, bottled in 2021. It's quite good, so clean, stylistically, very easy to drink. It is at 100 proof. I would like maybe a little bit more intensity as far as my personal preference, but it's such a balanced whiskey um, that, and I don't really see any flaws other than it's being open for a while. I probably rated it pretty high in the past. At this time, just with a little bit of oxidation, I still will rate it high. I'm going to give it 8 points. Give me this one 8 points out of 10. It's good. And I will enjoy that last sips with a couple buddies of mine when they show up, Zoe, that, uh, the crew. We'll enjoy the last little corner. I think it's time, man. I think it's time. We shouldn't leave stay here too much longer. So yeah, see, Zoe just hopped into the live stream. Appreciate you once again, bro, for jumping off these bottles. We're having some fun. We're tasting right, people line up, and it's been good thus far. It's been really, really good thus far. So appreciate you. So appreciate you. So we're going to do glass rips, of course, as we always do between drams. And we're going to deviate a little bit, everybody, from kind of what we know from Tennessee as being Tennessee whiskeys, which, once again, they are not labeled as bourbons. They are filtered just after the distillation happens. The whiskey is filtered prior to them going into the barrels for aging. So that's been the case for both the Jack Daniels and the George Dickels. It will be the case for the Uncle Nearest. Of course, we're finishing with the final Jack. But this is Chattanooga Whiskey Company, folks. They call this their Tennessee High Malt. And they do classify this as a straight bourbon whiskey. So here we do not have the filtration process that happens before the whiskey goes into the barrel. So they can label this as a straight bourbon whiskey. We are talking about over 4 years. They say greater than 2 years of age for this. Greater than 2 years of age. Isn't that something? But batch size is 6 to 10 barrels at a time. What's neat about this is that they call it the Tennessee High Malt because outside of the corn, all of the other grains are malted. There's a malted rye component, a caramel malted barley component, and a honey malted barley component. So the rye and the barley that is part of the mash bill here are all malted. So the only thing that isn't malted is the corn, right? So that makes this one super, super neat. And it's kind of their thing. All their productions undergo a malting process for the secondary grains. That's the rye as well as the wheat that's used. The rye and the barley. They also use a malted wheat in some of their expressions as well. So let's give it a sniff. We are talking about 111 proof. So we move up from the 100 proof from the first two. We've got 100 proof going on. I'm still getting a little bit of the kind of toasted nuts, balls, aromatics in this production. Indeed. Yeah, Sean, Dickel is a very distinctive flavor profile. But here in this Chattanooga, the first whiff of it also gave me a little bit of the kind of maybe not as strong of a peanut brittle and so forth, but still kind of in a maybe walnut realm. Sweet corn, toast, lots of toast. Somewhat what do you call it? A little bit of a flambe-like kind of toastiness, a toasted whipped cream or something like that, like you might do on a banana pudding or on a pie of sorts. Make a little whipped topping and then toast it. There's a little bit of that sweet kind of burnt sugar note to it. Sugar cookie-esque caramelized notes, cinnamon, a little bit of apple or orchard fruit. Shout out to Zoe, little orchard fruit, apple pear type note. All right, well, let's taste it. Mm, wow, a lot of weight on the palate for that one. So all the malted grain really kind of leave a lot of oil that kind of carry all the richness on the palate. Like it's full body whiskey for sure. But at Cask 111, there's balance there. That's pretty beautiful, y'all. Yeah, yeah, a little whiskey cookies. Indeed, indeed, I like it. Hey, your son can whip some up, and we can put them on market very soon. Let's go. Shout out to everybody who's in the chat, especially Instagram. Folks who are on Instagram, thank you so very much. Of course, we're streaming live on YouTube and Facebook as well. Yeah, what you get here is a richness. You get a higher ABV for sure, which keeps everything in check. But on the nose, especially second sip or second approach, it's maybe a little bit more of the malted rye that comes forth. It's like it's quite pepper, quite peppery on the second approach aromatically. A lot of spicy pepper. Hmm. But gosh, good flavors, wonderful richness. I like that quite a bit. They're doing a good job with just making something a bit more unique, especially with all the secondary grains being malted. Higher ABV, super interesting. Um, Probably within the Chattanooga line. This is probably one of my favorites. They do a bottle and bond. They do an 86 proof. The 86 proof and the 111 here, I think I like a little bit more than the bottle and bond. Um, the 86 is really smooth though, amazingly balanced. I would say this higher proof cast strength. I like the flavors, but maybe you can't detect some of the complexity of those malted grains as much, just because the ABV is uh, is just really kind of firing off a little bit more intensely. I like this though. I'm probably gonna go for the Chattanooga um, cast strength 111 proof. Let's see here. I think I might have to rate this one. Let's make sure I'm at the end of this bad boy here. Drums, please. I'm gonna have to go 7.5 for this one, folks. Well, 7.5. I liked it quite a bit. Um, I think that it's young still, right? Being 2 years of age, I'm thinking back, probably the last one that we had being a 13-year versus this as young as 2-year production, and the Jack Daniels probably being around that 8-year. While the complexity of the grains is quite nice, it's still showing its youth, where it hasn't reached a complexity level of age that maybe gives me a more unique experience, especially into the finish. So I'm rating this one 7.5. I think the base is excellent. The base is absolutely excellent. Just maybe needs a little bit more time in oak, maybe double, not a little bit more, maybe double at least the time in oak to bring some of the flavors that are a bit more extended and give a little more hang time into the finish. But yeah, that's my rating for Chattanooga whiskey. Cask strength 111 proof Tennessee high malt straight bourbon whiskey, folks. Bourbon whiskey, they're actually classifying this. Fun stuff. All right, we're gonna move on, everybody. Hey. Zoe, I see you, man. I see you in the house. Let's see. Yeah, 775. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, yeah, that I think I'm seeing Zoe and Miss Denise talking about the Jack toasted barrel here, single barrel. 775, I gave it. There was a little bit of the volatile alcohol there, a little bit more of that acetate alcohol that was showing forth. It blew off, but that it was there, it probably rate that just a little bit lower. So, yeah, folks, we're going to move on. Going to add the next item to the stage. And that item is the Uncle Nearest. This is the 8-year anniversary bottle, folks. The Uncle Nearest Masters Blend. This is blend number 58. So they released this summer. It was their 8th-year anniversary bottling. This blend number 58. And this 123.3 proof points, y'all. So let's give it a little go. I don't know. I didn't do my glass rinse yet. So let's do that. Make sure to hydrate a little bit. Get that last whiskey out of the glass. All right. Shout out to Uncle Nearest, everybody. Whew, boy. I mean, they've been going through it. Shout out to Fawn. A lot of information has been out there in the online spaces, the social media spaces about Uncle Nearest. Wishing nothing but the best outcome possible for all parties. This is such an amazing and important story that in history that this brand signifies. We have to ensure that it stays alive, that all parties are whole when it's all said and done, and that the work that has been started can continue, and that the growth can continue, and we can have for generations this bottling, this branding being on the shelves around the world for as many years, if not more, than the legacy really holds. We're talking about since the 1850s, folks, of a legacy of Nathan Green, the guy who was nicknamed Uncle Nearest. He was the founder of the Tennessee whiskey style that we spoke about with the Jack Daniels and George Dickel earlier, where he employed traditional filtration processes that were brought to the Americas from Western Africa where he and his lineage was from, where they would filter their water through sugar beet maple charcoal. And he employed this in his whiskey production to mellow the whiskey and make some of the smoothest whiskey that anyone had ever tasted, and did this on the Call plantation, and eventually ended up being, of course, the distiller, the master distiller at the original distillery of Jack Daniels, good old number 7 distillery down in Lynchburg, Tennessee. And so this is all in recognition of the man, the great man, history, the founder of the Tennessee whiskey style, the man who created the original whiskey known as Jack Daniels, which has become one of the most noteworthy, most recognized brands of whiskey in the world. So shout out to Uncle Nearest, Mr. Nathan Green himself. Shout out to his family, Victoria Edie Butler, who is the master blender for this blend, as well as all of the Uncle Nearest products. And shout out to Fawn Weaver and Keith Weaver, her husband, who Fawn heard this story and created this brand, like literally within the last decade. And it is still to this day the fastest growing whiskey brand, the largest woman-owned whiskey brand, and so many other great things that I can associate with why this brand has been so significant to us in this wine and spirit marketplace. So Uncle Nearest Masters Blend Edition, blend number 58, recognizing 8 years of Uncle Nearest being a brand. So happy anniversary to them belated. Let's give it a whiff. Now we're talking about a jump in proof point again to 123.3 proof points. This bottle has been open now for probably about a month or so, about a few weeks. I'll say three to 4 weeks. You probably recognize it because we likely opened it up as soon as we got it on a Whiskey Wednesday a few weeks back. So a lot of you probably know better than I do when it was open. Okay, aromatically, of course, you do get the 123.3 proof points on this one. But gosh, it's also quite refined, I would say. The quality of distillation is excellent in that it holds a little bit of a sweet kind of brown sugar, a hint of minerality and kind of stone fruit like characteristics. A little like wet stone. You know, I usually get that when I'm drinking some Alsatian or German Mosel Rieslings or something. It's kind of the limestone effect, right? That is what I'm getting to the front. A little bit of pepper from the rye, some spicy pepper. It doesn't get into too heavy of a pyrazine note, but it's a little bit of green spicy pepper in there. A little green pepper note and a little black pepper. All right, let's give it a sip. Mm. Wow. All right, so 123.3 proof. We got to make sure that we are exhaling after we take that sip. But man, the flavors really stay on the full palate. Just bursting off with spices, cinnamon, dark fruit, almost um, raisin or plum like to me. A little bit of cacao, like even maybe like a little chocolate covered raisin, little chocolate covered raisin there, and the warmth of the ABV for sure. That's interesting. Um, all the flavors stay right on your tongue in that first sip. Once you breathe out a couple times because the ABV is still right there on your mid palate, but you really still have all the intensities being right in center palate, nothing lower at all. That's neat. Let's have a second go at it though. Wow, a little bit more creaminess as I approach it the second time. Maybe a little like pralines and cream, like ice cream, with some ABV added to it. Some spirit, some bourbon added to a little pralines and cream ice cream. Wow, still warm, still a little bit of the ABV showing, a hint of bell pepper and black pepper, freshly cracked. Hmm. Mm, okay, absolutely. Yeah. So I have to ask, is the master's blend has opened up a bit? I will say it has. The flavors have really rounded out quite a bit. Of course, the spirit note is a spirit note. You have to change your breathing a little bit, right? As someone off camera is finding out right now, for sure. But gosh, flavors are quite nice. Good viscosity across the palate, really just leaving a lot of hang time on the flavors. The ABV is showing as well. Um, there's that limestone minerality, and that lightens up the mid palate a bit, especially the second go round, where there's this kind of like minerality or freshness, this higher acid note left on the mid palate, which you know kind of makes me think that because of that limestone, I don't know about a little bit of water added to that, but if I were to chill this down just about 10 degrees, like with a cold water rinse, that might brighten things up just a little bit. We're having that room temperature right now, and I'm not rinsing with cold water, I'm rinsing with room temperature water. Some folks might, drink on the rocks. I think that really shocks the whiskey usually, but it's a good flavor. I think it's opened up, and there's maybe a bit more balance than before, but at the same time, there's a freshness factor here that's really unique. That at 123.3 ABV, I don't know if you'll continue to sip this kind of just as a neat expression, or if you'll add a couple of drops of water and let it blossom a bit more. Um, I may definitely do a cold water rinse just to drop the temperature just a couple degrees that I don't have now. I'm not rinsing with cold water. So interesting stuff, folks. And it's rating time. Um, for this one, I like it quite a bit. It's of course we're up in the 123.3 realm, and it's opened up since the last time I had it for sure. Um, I'm digging the 23.3, but once again, just need to maybe play around with it a little bit more. I'm giving this just quality-wise, how approachable it was and how all the flavors stayed in the mid palate. It never drank hot. The flavors were nice. There were deep flavors that showcased quite well. I think for this one, I'm going with this point, these points right here. I think I'm going 8.25 for this one, folks. I'm going 8.25 for this one. Yeah, 8.25. They really incorporated the 123.3 proof points in quite well. I still think that some of their single barrel expressions maybe had a little bit more balance, but they didn't hit this intensity of proof. With this intensity of proof, I think they did a great job. And it's something that you can sit down and really have an experience with, but playing with it a little bit, right? Playing with the proof a little bit, and or the temperature just a little bit more. So yeah, that's my rating on the Uncle Nearest Masters Blend. This is blend number 58, which was the Uncle Nearest 8th year anniversary release, released back in June or July of this year. July of this year. I think their anniversary was 7/7. I believe that's correct. All right, so shout out to them at Uncle Nearest. All right, I'm gonna get a little water rinse, and we're gonna have the finale. So let's go ahead and add the final product to the stage. Put the ticker on, and this is Jack Daniel's, especially selected by Mr. Chris Fletcher himself, the master distiller at Jack Daniel's, folks. And this was a 2021. Yeah, 2021 release, which is awesome. Following house 211. And the barrel number is there. Well, the bottling date on this was March 3rd, 2022. So I guess he picked the barrel in 2021, but it wasn't until March of 2022 that he went ahead and had this bottled up. But another single barrel, folks. And yes, it does come with those dog tags. You can hear him. You can hear it in the little bottle. And yeah, this is the last bottle, bro. We're ending with this. We're talking about a 129.1 proof. So it is the highest proof of the line today. Excuse me. Can't wait to get into it. And yeah, we are going to respect your bottle because I know how valuable this one is. And it's only a pint, it's not a full fifth. So we'll leave some for you. We'll take a little bit more, bro. Still above the halfway point, though, okay? Still above the halfway point. See that? Yeah, it still left you enough. Shout out to M Dog Steady as well, who came by for a little step earlier. This is my first sip up there. Wow. Wow. This one carries ABV, but behind the buttery, toasty, buttered brioche buns right here. Like a little this is almost like a chocolate. This has a little chocolate, little dark chocolate, and the kind of like a dark chocolate croissant dessert pastry. You have kind of a toasted little brioche, little dark chocolate, smidget of cinnamon. Wow. Wow. The complexity of this and how it carries the ABV is crazy. The ABV is so well integrated at 129.1 proof. Yeah, let's get this a sip. Nah, that tasted like it was no higher proof than the one we started with, 100 proof. Literally. That first sip, I literally got zero ABV, no volatility of alcohol. Wow. On the palate, it just feathers. It's like the flavors that I mentioned before are there in liquid form, a little bit of the brioche, a little bit of the toast, a little bit of the chocolate, a little bit of the cinnamon, some spice, sweet, oak, but then it just feathered away on the palate. Let's have another approach and sip. This approach shows a little bit more of, once again, a bit of a minerality, a little bit more of a stone fruit characteristic. I'm going a little bit more apple this time, like a crunchy, slightly ripened apple, nothing that's too ripe yet, with a little bit of a nutmeg sprinkled on it. There's a freshness of kind of more the apple the second go around, not as much as of the toast and barrel notes, although they're there very much more in the background. Let's have a sip. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Wow. Wow. Yeah, on the palate, it's like apple crisp, the little dark chocolate. You're chewing as you're kind of enjoying the finish of this bad boy. Mm. The spirit note is not a factor that is offensive at all. It's carrying the flavors just so nicely. Wow. Mm. Yeah. This is extremely beautiful. Well done. Well done, Mr. Chris Fletcher. Mr. Distiller. Well done. At 129.1 proof points, this is unbelievably good. So I have to give it a great price, a great point out of 10. My points going to be 8.75 out of 10, folks. This is 8.75 out of 10. Yeah, close to a 9. It could teeter on a 9. I would probably, for a 9, even at 129 proof, like a little bit more texture and weight in the mid palate, where this one just feathers out. But come on now, we are in greatness status right now, and just how the whiskey feathers. It looks like we just lost the Instagram. That was at an hour. Yep, exactly an hour. There you go. But they got my 8.75 out of 10 points. Very close to a 9 on this, folks. Very close to a 9. Gosh, Zoe, I appreciate you for dropping off the Jack Daniels. It inspired this Whiskey Wednesday. We did an amazing Tennessee's finest Whiskey Wednesday tonight. Thanks to Michelle off camera, who tasted along with me. And of course, T-Bone right there, as always, here for moral support, everybody. Folks, we're signing off. I'm going to see you in 7 days, if not before. Come on over to chats this weekend. We'll have a good time. But we have a lot going on over here at chats. Please excuse what we have going on. We're kind of running a little bit lean right now for good reason, just so that we can surprise you all over the next few days as you trek on over and look at what we're up to. And we're making space so that we can have a fantastic entry into OND, the most important time within the wine and spirit industry and any retail industry. October, November, December. This is the make or break. So we hope to see you all, and we hope to not break, but to make a great 2025 end of year. Thanks for joining us on this Whiskey Wednesday. See you here at chats. Cheers.